Hello, Nick. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. So I know that this is our first session together, so I wanted to kind of tell you a little bit about what it is that we do here and give you the opportunity to ask any questions if you have any. So I'm a feminist-oriented therapist. So, so I see that you have a little bit of hesitation with that.
Yeah. I mean, my sister spends a lot of time on Tumblr, and the F word is just a little unnerving for me.
Right.
So,
So, um, I would like to kind of explain that a little bit. So, basically, society has these prescribed roles sometimes, and sometimes what society tells us to be as is kind of rigid, and it doesn't necessarily match with what we feel or the kind of person that we are. So, my theoretical orientation says that just because you don't fit in this particular box doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with you. Whether you're a man or whether you're a woman, I would like to think of my orientation as a very inclusive and especially of men, because I think that men tend to have a lot of pressure placed on them to be a certain way, and they have less freedom to express who they are. So I would like to start the session by saying I hope that you feel free to express any opinions, and if you have any sort of conflicts with what I'm saying, I would like to encourage you to express those to me, because another part of feminist therapy is that we like to
sorry.
have, it's okay, we like to have an egalitarian relationship. I understand that there's a little bit of a power differential between us because I'm your therapist and you're coming in asking for help from me, but I would like to emphasize that you're your own self expert and that I have my own clinical expertise, but at the end of the day, you know you best, and I will try to help you make sense of your experience from that perspective. Does that kind of put you at ease a little bit?
Somewhat. Yeah.
Do you have any other questions for me?
Um, Not at the moment.
Okay. If anything comes up, feel free to ask.
Okay.
Okay, so why don't you tell me a little bit about what brought you in today?
Well, I'm actually having some trouble at work.
Okay.
We had these evaluations recently,
Mm-hmm.
and I carpool with my friend Stacy. It's on a.
May I ask what it is that you do for work?
Oh, I worked with low functioning disabled adults,
Okay.
specifically autism, um, but the evaluation it's on a scale of 1 to 4,
Mm-hmm.
and based on what your evaluation was is what percentage raise you got. So I got a first of all that they 1 to 4 is kind of a lie. It's 1 to 3. No one got above that. So, but anywho, I got a 2.8,
Okay.
and the person I carpool with also got a 2.8, and I got a 2% raise, and she got a 1.5% raise.
Oh.
And she complained to our director, who complained to HR, and they got that fixed. But that had me thinking, like, I've uh, I've applied for four promotions in my company, and each time they've been given to someone else, and I'm worried. Well, what if this is racially motivated? What if this is like oriented to the fact that I'm not the most masculine being on earth?
Hmm.
So I guess that's been bugging me.
Okay. So, um, obviously, these evaluations are very pivotal for your continued success in the company and for your ability to really support yourself. So, those evaluations are very, very important. So, when you found out that your increase in pay was different from your coworkers, how did that make you feel?
Um, I mean, I got more money, so that's. I felt bad for her, but I got this uneasy sense of like they came to me and they're like, "Is this a problem?" and I paused, and the look that the person gave me was like, say no. And it's like, well, yeah, it's a problem. And it's
Hmm.
like, why?
Were you the one who presented this issue, or was your coworker the one?
My coworker was the one. We both joked around the same score, and I'm like, yeah, 1.5% raise on us. That's a lot of money. And she's like, I didn't get that. And that's what sparked it.
Hmm. So then, when you were in turn questioned, what was that like for you?
I mean, the questioning didn't really apply to me. It's like there was this attitude of, well, you got more money, you came out on top, why are you complaining? And it's
Hmm.
like, because that's unethical. Like, how can you have a company where you look after disabled adults and you can just very easily make these small ethical mistakes? Like, that's not okay.
Hmm. So what I'm hearing you say is that that incident, although it didn't affect you, it kind of almost sent up a warning signal like, hey, if they're willing to do this to someone else, what if they're doing this to me as well in the context of you applying for these promotions?
hmm
Hmm.
I actually found that when I first joined the company, the structure of the company and like a person's like ethnicity actually played what position they were.
Hmm.
So like at the base level, we're like the hands-on grunts as I call us. We're like a diverse community, and then all our supervisors of the centers are black, and their supervisors were all white, and their supervisors were all white and female when I first joined the company.
So it seemed to almost resemble like a racial hierarchy in a way. Hmm.
Somewhat, yeah. I mean that's less of the case now. Like they now on the coordinator team have like they hired this guy, and like there's this unfortunate joke where it's like, oh, there's the token black guy, and it's like, wow, guys are really making this joke.
Hmm.
But like it's gotten a little better, but there's still like, what? How do I know it's actually gotten better? How do I know that none of this actually applies to me?
Hmm. I think that's a valid question. Um, so you said that, because you said at first that you originally thought that everything was based on a kind of like this discriminatory almost system, but you said things kind of changed. Then you said because this new person had come in. So what other experiences have you had of, is this the first time this has happened, or was this the first warning sign?
Um, I guess there have been other times where like our centers before they were separated into high functioning and low functioning, which is just a whole nother thing I have a problem with, but it's nothing I really have control over. But when the centers are more mixed in terms of um, ableness for the other clients, I found me and these two other guys who happen to be male, and we ended up working with much more dangerous clients.
Hmm.
Like I noticed that there was this lady, and she was probably a little shorter than you, and she worked with this client who literally just sat there all day. Like if you gave him work to do, he'd do it, but he wouldn't give you any trouble whatsoever. He was actually deaf, so she like sat on her phone and worked. And here I am, and there's a guy holding me by my hair and smacking me, and I'm just like, this is she's getting paid more than me. Like this is ridiculous.
Right. I mean, that sounds like a that, I mean, you say it in a theatrical way, but I mean, that's something that seriously concerns your safety. And it seems like there's a disparity between and the different jobs that you do. And you have the same position?
Same position, different center, still kind of the same outcome where Uh, my supervisor falls into this pattern. It's a different supervisor, but he's actually from Jamaica. Like very, everything with him is like loud and manly. um, he uh, he has a tendency to assign me and the other two males in the center like the more dangerous clients, and
Hmm.
like I see other groups playing like Ticket to Ride and like checkers, and here I am like trying to stop this guy from throwing a chair through the wall, and I'm like, why can't I be doing that? We are making the
Right.
same amount.
Right. So, is this something that you've addressed with him? Is there a sort of um, rotating cycle that the employees have, or is it just you have the same clients every week because they're assigned to you and that's the way it is?
I mean, it's supposed to be rotational so that they don't just adjust to a single person.
Mm-hmm.
Generalization's an important thing, but my supervisor will occasionally fall into a pattern of assigning it. It's gotten bad to the point with my friend that I carpool with. And as I'm driving there, I'm like, I bet you have these three guys today. And she's like, probably. And I get there, and lo and behold, I look on the board, and you can almost get down to a pattern. So when I mention it to him, he gets a little up in arms about it. But after he thinks about it and looks back through the record heap of who has who, he'll be like, oh, and then he'll like fix it. But it's like, why does it need to come to that?
Right. So when you do address that with him, what are have you talked to him about how you don't feel that it's fair to have the same clients every week? Has this been something that you've pursued further, or is it just something you're kind of just noticing and it bothers you?
I mean, both. I'm noticing it bothers me, but when I do pursue it further with him, he gives me this look of like, yeah. And like he even once made a comment. There's this one lead I work with. She's like 4.5 feet tall, like weighs about as much as a paperweight. Like you just throw her. And he was like, well, what do you expect her to work with this guy? And then my answer is kind of like, yes, yes, I do. If
Mm,
she's here in this center, yes, there's a school where we have children that we do these services with, and she can go there if she wants an easy day. She doesn't have to be here.
right. So you feel like he kind of blows you off, and almost because she's smaller and slight of build, she's less able to handle these more physically dangerous clients.
Mm-hmm.
And have you had additional training to kind of help you with these more dangerous clients?
No, we all have the exact same amount of training,
Hmm.
um, and I know for a fact she is fully able to deal with them. Like I've seen her latch onto someone's back and actually pull them to the ground. It's kind of amazing, a little bit funny, but
Hmm. I think that brings up some important questions of safety, though, and a little bit of, I guess, kind of disparity. So, what is it that you think is the reason that you tend to get assigned these clients?
honestly, and he said this before, he's like, oh, this person's dangerous, put a guy with them. Oh, this person's having a bad day, Nick's strict, put Nick with them.
Hmm. So you feel like it's because you're a man that they feel like you're better able to work with some of these more dangerous clients, even though you haven't had necessarily training to do so. There's an assumption there that you'll be able to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. So when that happens, I mean, how's that make you feel? Like how, especially when you voice these concerns, what kind of, how's that make you feel about your workplace?
Um, it makes me feel like my workplace is really unethical.
Hmm.
Um, it makes me not care to the point where if this guy's gonna throw a chair through the wall, where like there's this moment where I could be like, I guess I have to stop him. I may as well stop him. Like, and my heart isn't into it. It's just put the chair down.
Hmm.
Okay, got the mechanical restraints. This song and dance. Like, it's really not like why are you doing this? Like, I'm trying to help you, and more of just, well, I'm doing this because currently I'm on the clock, and that is what I have to do.
So you almost kind of feel a bit emotionally checked out, I'm hearing?
Yeah, I'm burnt out.
Hmm. And you feel like that's kind of result of working with these same clients that are more difficult every week.
Hmm.
Hmm. So it seems to me that this is something that really impacts you. I mean, How long have you worked at this site?
3 years.
3 years. And is this something that you've experienced recently, or is this something that, like, has this been a process? Because obviously what you do is very difficult. And I mean, I think it's very admirable of you to have worked in this field for 3 years and have clients sometimes physically attack you or be put in these situations where you have the potential to be harmed and yet still sticking with that. So my question is, um, really, what kind of change and when did that change?
Um, Honestly, it's just been there from the start. Are you asking me what kind of change I'd like to see, or?
I guess a little bit of both. I mean, I think that I'd like to know what you would like to happen. I'd like to know what changes you would like to see and where you'd like to go from this point.
Well, upward mobility would be nice. I'm currently more educated than all of the center supervisors.
Hmm.
Um, I'm on an equal education with their superiors. Um, so, like, uh, one of the promotions I went for would have been nice. Um, that being said, uh, I guess I would like there to be an equal amount of work throughout the workplace.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay. So you feel like these problems could be ameliorated somewhat if you could possibly get a promotion and maybe the work could be more evenly distributed?
um, I guess.
Hmm. And so what do you see as being a barrier to that?
Um, I don't know. It might be that they already have a person picked out for the promotion. It might just be like they're worried because I'm a whistleblower. Like, I've reported abuse on our clients multiple times, and every time I do, like, whenever we do the investigation team's always happy that I reported, but everyone else is like, oh, this song and dance.
Hmm.
So, like, maybe they just want me to not, because, the higher up you are in a company, the more dirty secrets you know, and they probably just really don't want me to know that.
Hmm.
Um, or it just might be they don't like me, or whatever reason it is, or
Hmm.
I don't know.
So there's a lot of different forces at play here. There's the way that your work environment may perceive you, there's the way that you perceive your work environment, and there's also these kind of undertones of what are you supposed to be and what you're supposed to do. So I think there's a lot of different factors here that play into your kind of dissatisfaction with your workplace. Um, so in the future, would you like to maybe explore those and explore some options for that?
Yeah,
Okay. So in order for this to kind of really be really feminist oriented, I'd like to share with you my perspective.
sure.
Um, I think that you're a very hardworking and it seems to be very compassionate person. And I think that your high value that you place on ethics and doing well is very helpful. And I think it's necessary for your career, or at least the philosophy of the helping profession. So, I mean, I would encourage you not to lose that part of yourself because I think that staying true to your values is important. Um, However, I think maybe that there's also this sense of needing to navigate the environment that you're in, perhaps. And perhaps we can focus on better ways to do that, but ways that kind of make you happy and feel less burnt out. So you feel like you're going with the tide rather than constantly fighting against it. Or if you do need to go against that tide, maybe we can find a way to do that in a way where it doesn't cost so much emotional energy and it doesn't stress you out as much, and it can keep you, and we can kind of keep you from maybe having that negative view from your superiors that keep you from possibly getting that promotion. Does that sound like a plan? Okay. Do you have any other questions or anything you'd like to add before we end our session this week?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you, Nick, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.
See you in a week.
All right. Is it okay if I shake your hand?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too.